call the January 28th, 2014 regular workshop meeting of the School Board of St. Lucie County to order. Welcome to all of you. We appreciate you being here with us tonight, whether you're in our audience or with our viewing audience. But if you would, at this point, stand with us, please, as we pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now for our Kids at Hope pledge. As an adult and a treasure hunter, I am committed to search for all the talents, skills, and intelligence that exist in all children and youth. I believe all children are capable of success, no exceptions. Thank you. I will also take this opportunity to remind you that if you would like to be an unscheduled speaker tonight, there are forms at the back of the room that you need to fill one out and get it to Mrs. Harrison before the business portion of our meeting begins. Superintendent Yost, I will turn it to you now for our special awards.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We have our star presentation for the evening, and I'd like to ask Michelle, has come to the podium. So, Michelle?
Good evening. I have the great pleasure of honoring two recipients of our Star Award. These are two individuals who have taken the time to do whatever it takes. Most specifically, they are being honored for working at the Childhood Discoveries Conference that was held at Fort Pierce Central for our early learning students. And our first person that I would like to recognize is Margaret Ash, who actually could not be here this evening, but it's because she's doing what she does best, working with children. I emailed her and told her that she was going to be recognized this evening, and her response was, "I am humbled and honored, and unfortunately I'm unable to attend because they are doing a banquet at the Cobra Cafe serving prime rib, horseradish scallions, crusted chicken with twice baked potatoes." I asked her to send me some. But do we have a representative here for Ms. Ash? And Superintendent Yost and Ms. Hawley, if you could come down, Chairman Hawley. The certificate says, "Special thanks and recognitions awarded to Margaret Ash. Your personal commitment to do whatever it takes makes all the difference for our students and community. St. Lucie County Public Schools appreciates your dedication." And if you would ask Ms. Ash to wear this lanyard with pride so that everyone will know each day that she is a star. Thank you. Our second person that we would like to recognize this evening is Barbara Heisey. Barbara Heisey and her custodial team is being recognized for being so generous with their time, working late, specifically at this conference, and that they did whatever it took. And they were also participated by wearing the T-shirts for the Early Learning Childhood program. So if we could have Ms. Barbara Heisey. And Barbara says, "Special thanks and recognition is awarded to Barbara Heisey. Your personal commitment to do whatever it takes makes all the difference for our students and community. St. Lucie Public Schools appreciates your dedication." And I have a lanyard for you also. Please wear it with pride so everyone knows that you shine brightly each day. These are just two examples of individuals that really think that they're just giving their reasonable service, but really each and every little thing you do makes a difference here in St. Lucie County.
Can we say something? Can we say something?
Absolutely.
This is the custodian staff at Fort Pierce Central High School, and I just want to say we represent a champion who is Mr. Smith, Mrs. Todd Smith, and his staff. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Jerger, and congratulations to our teams. They are going to be exiting because they do need to return to their school for that special event this evening. So remember to reserve about 6 meals. We'll be there for prime rib in just a little while.
Right. That's a great incentive now. Board members, we will now move to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? Thank you. Moved by Ms. Hensley, second by Mr. Ingersoll. Board members, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Oh, have to wait a moment till we get our electronic voting up. Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Make sure you vote electronically as well. Ms. Harrison, do you have us all registered? Okay, we will. We have the consent agenda before us. Board members, are there any items that you would have a conflict with that you need to declare at this time? Okay, hearing none, we will receive the recommendation. Mrs. Yost?
Yes, ma'am. I recommend the board approve the 13 consent agenda items, 4.01 through 9.01 as presented.
Board members, we have the recommendation on the floor. Are there any items that you wish to pull for separate discussion and therefore separate vote?
Comment only.
Okay. Ms. Hilson, you have an item you would like to comment on? And the number?
7.01.
0.01 will be commented upon. Okay. Hearing no others, we will receive your comment at
Yes.
this point.
Thank you. The item I wanted to comment on is 7.01, Exceptional Student Education Policies and Procedures. And I just wanted to comment at this time because of seeing an article in our newspaper dealing with our ESC paraprofessionals and what they do every day. And I was very pleased to see this article in the paper. And if I could give a star award to all our ESC paraprofessionals, I would definitely do that. I don't think people understand the gravity of what is done in our schools every single day. And these are, to me, our unsung heroes are the men and women that work with children with severe to moderate disabilities, diaper changing, self-care, the things that go on, feeding. I think it's an eye-opener, and anybody in the community that hasn't had the opportunity to visit and see what goes on in our classrooms with children of many, many varying exceptionalities. But it was encouraging for me to see that the newspaper had actually taken the time to investigate and see what the life is like for our paraprofessionals. So I just wanted to take that opportunity. And actually, I had mentioned that this is quite a long and formidable piece of documentation. Mr. Tomlinson, thank you, who has to interpret all of our ESE policies with all of our students. So it is quite involved, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, board members, we have the recommendation before us. Do I hear a motion? So moved. Moved by Dr. Mills. Second. Second by Mr. Ingersoll. All in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye. 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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. I'm all registered, Ms. Harrison? Okay, good. Okay, we will then move to our other business, the findings of fact, conclusions of law and penalty, and final order numbers 280 through 293. Mrs. Yost?
I recommend the board approve findings of fact, conclusions of law and penalty, and final orders number 280 through 293 as presented.
Board members, we have a recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Hilson. Second. Second by Dr. Mills. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay. And we will move right to the superintendent's update.
Fabulous. Thank you. I'd like to call Mr. Marty Sanders to the podium at this time to provide us with a custodial services update. I believe that he will be joined by Carolyn Rarick and other members of the team.
Good evening, Madam Superintendent, board members. You may recall last fall we started with a budget cut plan, and we looked at outsourcing custodial services through collaborative bargaining, working with our union. We decided on a plan that would reorganize the custodial department that would do a couple things. First, it would reduce costs. It would increase quality in our custodial services through standardization and training, and improve accountability. Over the summer, we implemented that plan. It was approved late May, and it was implemented over the summer, not without much pain and consternation. It was a lot of change and fear by a lot of people, both the principals and the school staff and the custodial staff. Nobody knew where we were going because it was a new plan. It was presented very rapidly and implemented with a culture that went back as far as our institutional knowledge remembers, that we had site-based custodians that were managed and trained by school staff. So we had a lot of challenges to convert that rapidly. We spent the summer hiring our key staff, and our key staff is here. Carolyn Rarick is our coordinator of custodial services. We've talked about her in the past, that her background is customer service and training of staff at Publix and other locations, so we're very fortunate to have her in the leadership role. And then we hired our area managers that oversees a group of 10 to 12 schools as well. So we put that key staff in place over the summer, and then on September the 2nd, we kicked off and we had all of our plant managers hired. And you may recall we made a commitment to the CWA that we would hire existing foremen and an assistant foreman in those roles if they met the qualifications. And we've been pleasantly surprised that we've moved forward very well with those staff members, with hiring everybody from that pool of staff. So we made that commitment, and we're moving forward very, very well with that commitment. The other, and I'll let Carolyn will give most of the presentation. I just want to do the introduction, but we've also found that it was a pleasant surprise that a lot of our problems revolved around institutional systems that were not in place to support the staff, to train the staff, and that's really where we're hoping over the next year that we are putting all of those things in place, relying on standardization and training so that everyone is prepared and capable of doing their job, and we're providing that support to that staff. And I think that's one of the biggest surprises or findings that we've got out of this, that the staff has welcomed the support. It's been rare in the past where somebody from the district office is going to the custodial staff, 2 or 3 times a week and asking what support they need. So it's been a pleasant surprise, and Carolyn's and her team has been the right pick at providing that service, because it's turned into a real support role and not an accountability role. And through that support, it's really enhanced the accountability and quality. So with that, I'll introduce Carolyn Rarick.
I'd like to update you all on the staffing. Since the beginning, September 2nd, we have 16 groundskeepers that have been hired. They're managed by Gary Taylor. We have 4 teams of 4 workers. The 4 teams have leads which have been identified and have a schedule with different zones to support weekly mowing of the schools. The district had over 100 large riding mowers that we've collected from the schools, and it's more than provided ample equipment for the grounds crews. In addition, it's minimized the need to purchase any mowers or equipment for this year. It's also allowed us to focus on proper maintenance of the equipment and reduced overall maintenance costs. Gary's done a great job with leading and organizing the grounds maintenance, and compliments are coming in currently from both parents and the schools, noting the improved appearance of our schools. Staffing of the schools, we've filled 28 vacancies with full-time workers. This has eliminated the need for 22 manpower temps, which we had hired to help fill those vacancies prior to our new hires coming on board. We've also honored 22 transfer requests for our site maintenance workers, bringing them closer to home and allowing them less travel time. Work hours and scheduling of staff has been moved to later in the school day to allow for more cleaning time after teachers and students leave for the day. This has increased productivity and provided better cleaning results. Current projects. We've been assessing the methods and materials used in each school that was not uniform in the past. The focus has been to develop the best methods to produce the lowest cost and the highest quality service in our schools. We're moving forward to standardize materials, purchasing, and training. This will include in-person and computer training, offering modules which both track progress and issues certificates of completion for all courses offered. This is important to ensure we have well-trained staff and the employees receive the proper in-service credit that can increase their salary and consideration for promotions. An inventory for all schools has been completed to establish equipment needs, and an order has been placed to make sure the custodial workers have what they need to be successful in their jobs. The change in structure has allowed us to focus on quality, procedures, and support to the staff conducting the work in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rarick and Mr. Sanders. Do our board members have any questions of this update at this time? Regarding the update.
Ms. Hilson?
You were speaking about the modules, educational modules. Mm-hmm. Where are the staff able? Can they access those from their home, or where are they accessing the training?
It's going to be online.
Okay.
They could access it from home. Ideally, they'll access it from work so that they can be paid for their training.
We have kiosks set up at the schools for them to access the computer as well as they can do it from home.
And will there be technology support provided if needed?
Yes.
Dr. Mills, did you have a comment?
My comment is just thank you very much for taking care of our schools. To all the custodians that's out there, we really do appreciate what they do every single day. And we're just happy that our children can go to school every day, and from the time they walk in to the time they leave out, they have a clean facility there. And we just encourage that you keep doing a good job. I know years ago, and I'm hoping and praying this is not the situation today, but I know at one point the bathrooms with the kids, they were smoking at the time, and there was butts all over the place. Tell me, what's going on with that today, as far as cleaning behind the kids when they're in the bath? Do you see less of that now as your custodial group as they go in and clean? Wondering about that. I'm going back years ago, and I'm hoping we're not in that situation.
I'm certain that it's better than it was. When you're talking about those type things, I think it's more prominent in the high schools, and believe it or not, sometimes in the middle schools. But one of the things we're working on, even with things such as paper towel holders and toilet paper holders and things like that, so that they can't be broken, or any kind of smoking, that's monitoring really not so much the custodial staff as it is to make sure that it's maintained clean throughout the day.
A couple things on that front. One is in the high schools, in the newer high schools, we've worked very diligently on design issues so that we design around having the seclusion and not allowing that to happen. Bathrooms with right alcoves and without doors, so you have better access. Individual bathrooms versus group restrooms. And I will say at all the high schools that I've been to, the supervision by administration and staff is on top of their game, and they don't leave the restrooms unattended and the hallways unattended. So, the days, and I remember, the days, not that I thank God I never smoked, but that was, it was almost like entering a bar in 1976 when I was in high school, because the amount of smoke in the restrooms, we don't have that. Much better supervision in our schools today.
And I think you made a really good point in saying the way our schools are being built now also makes a difference with Centennial and also Fort Pierce Central, the way the bathroom situations are
they're
built.
in areas where you have passive supervision by teachers and administrators, and that's a key element in design.
Well, again, thank you for all that you do to help our children go to safe and clean schools. Thank you.
I'd like to add my thanks as well. It's a real pleasure and delight to be able to drive around the county and just at a quick eye view see well-maintained facilities and lawns. It really does, that first appearance for our community to see and to be part of the community. It's a welcome relief to not have any weeds growing and things like that. So I commend you for the efforts, and I commend you especially for the personalization that this change has brought to the whole realm. Thank you for that.
Thank you. We appreciate the update. Also wanted to comment, Madam Chair and board members, on some activities that have been occurring over the past few weeks. Last Saturday evening, I had the pleasure of attending the Honors Band concert at IRSC, and Dr. Perry was there as well, and what a wonderful event. Had an opportunity to hear the middle school jazz band, the middle school band, jazz band, 9th and 10th grade band, and 11th and 12th grade band. And I've always wondered why they didn't combine all the students for the high school band, but they would never fit on the stage. It was a wonderful event, and the talent was immense. Also, thank everyone who participated in the MLK activities throughout the last couple of weeks. Of course, we had our own boat in the parade, and we were cruising to excellence, and I thank our 5 board members for being present that day, and 2 Bass Pro Shops for donating our boat for our entry. Also, the breakfast that was held the Saturday before the parade, many of our students performed. They had some interpretive dance, song, our Fort Pierce Westwood chorus participated, and it was just a wonderful morning of tribute to the young people within this community and the connection to education. And then finally, I believe is the weekend before, I attended the oratorical contest, and we have some phenomenal speakers within our schools. The Little Mister from Weatherby Elementary was phenomenal. You could tell that he certainly motivated the audience to become involved in his presentation, and perhaps will come before the board at some point, because he focused on education and the importance of education, and it was very timely. Hopefully you all have enjoyed some of those events as well. Thank you.
Indeed we have. Thank you, Superintendent Yost. We will move to school board member reports, and Mr. Ingersoll, we'll begin with you tonight.
No report.
Thank you. Ms. Hensley?
Yes, ma'am. Two things. The Children's Services Council, as you know, is on the ballot for reauthorization in November by state mandate. That is Okeechobee, St. Lucie, and Martin County for 2014. What has happened recently is that Palm Beach County and Broward County have decided to, instead of waiting to dates further out, that they will go on the ballot this year also. So of the seven independent Children's Services Council in the state of Florida, 5 of them will be on the ballot in November, which we think is going to be a good thing, that we can start sharing some information and some message. Also, the Indian River Lagoon Science Festival will be in September the 28th on South Beach Causeway. It is a brand new festival. It is going to be focused on students, and we will be keeping you updated with what's going to happen. But it is an opportunity to showcase not only what's going on, but what could go on. And it is focused on the lagoon, but it is going to be science in the bigger picture. And we want as many children involved in different activities as possible.
Thank you. Ms. Hilson? Report. Dr. Mills?
Yes, I wanted to hit on a little bit about 2014 being a year of voting, as Ms. Hensley said, with the Children's Service Council being up on the ballot. And I just want to encourage everyone to go out and make sure that you vote. Many times we wait for the odd year to vote, and then we wonder why we have certain people that are sitting in certain seats and we have certain issues that are not being addressed. So I just want to encourage you to just go out and vote those people that you want in, even in the what we call the off year, which is not the president's year, because we have so many offices there that needs to be filled with people who we believe are going to stand for our values and what we would like to see happen, especially in the area of education and with our children, but even as a country. Also wanted to congratulate our finalists. We went this past week on January the 24th. 3 teachers were surprised at their school sites, and we had an entourage that went to surprise them, led by our superintendent, Janelle Yost, and several of our board members and district administrators. And I think we might have had about 20 to 30 people. It was a large entourage to surprise those teachers. So I want to just congratulate. First of all, I want to thank the Educational Foundation, because without them, we would not have what we have and what we are doing. But they are here for us to encourage excellent education, as well as recognition of those that are doing an excellent job. Our selection of the finalists for 2015 Public School Teacher of the Year were Heather Bolito. She's our media specialist at Oak-Hammock, grades K through 8 in Port St. Lucie. Also, congratulations to Matthew Boswell, who was the Fort Pierce Central Band, who is the Fort Pierce Central Band and choral director, and Kelly Riddle, which is also a media specialist that was chosen this year at Fairlawn Elementary. And that brings me to the Night of the Stars, which will be on the 25th of February. This event is held again because of the Educational Foundation to honor our teachers and our support staff. So we look forward to that event on February the 22nd. Martin Luther King Parade was absolutely fabulous. There were so many people in this community that turned out for that parade. Want to thank the committee, the commemorative committee. This is the 30th year that we have had these events. And as our Superintendent Yost mentioned, there were, I believe, there were so many events within a 10-day period that we had to celebrate this man's vision and his birth and what he stood for and what we stand for as a community. And I want to thank the community for coming out to these different events because the parade was just fabulous, and the festival was even better with people coming and sharing the vision of King. And last but not least, congratulations to our Mosaic Academy. In 2 years, the Mosaic Digital Academy has grown out of its space, and we will be moving that to Alapatha Flats, I believe, at this time, so that we will have a larger facility for both the parents and the children. So congratulations for your work in what you're doing in that area as well.
Thank you, Dr. Mills. We have no unscheduled speakers to come before us tonight, so with no other business before us, we are adjourned.